Okay. Cancel culture clearly distracts us or have the hard conversations about ourselves. This is kind of a taking accountability video from Mrs. Nobody in the public eye. Or an autocritic, I don't know how to call it really. I hope this can resonate in someone else. Like is usual, I'm going to start pointing out other people's actions.
I'm a part of a community, and I have a girlfriend. I have a girlfriend that I love. So there.
Saw that coming.
So does that mean you're officially...
It means that I officially have a girlfriend.
Dear God.
My friend Ruby told me how regret she felt after telling Quinn she is lesbian. The regret was because when she finally decides to confess this to the people she cares about, the response of Quinn was, "I not have a problem with that. You be who you want to be. But let me clarify. I'm 100% straight and I'm not attracted to women. I just let you know in case you've been in love with me."
It's great to see you evolving, Chapman, and getting past the whole I'm the star of my own movie and everyone else is too complex.
Do I do that?
Then had to wear herself out, telling this grown woman that being a lesbian didn't automatically make her in love with a woman. That she only told her because wanted to tell this to important people in his life, not because she had a crush on her. I get really mad when I hear the whole experience. So I say, fuck her, don't keep her explanation. She has to educate herself and don't treat you according to his stupid stereotype conceptions.
I always thought you would be the girl in the relationship, though. But I suppose there was always a healthy dose of testosterone in you, so I shouldn't be surprised.
Then a couple days passed, and Ruby told me, Quinn finally understood. We are in good terms now. Just is a little bit uncomfortable when we have casual talk and from nowhere speak of me being lesbian. She was asking me for opinion about a beautiful dress, but stopped and said, "Oh, sorry, I forget you are into sweets, not dresses." But other than that, we are fine. And me, like a committed ally that I am, I get pissed off and I say, "You don't have to deal with that shit. Don't let her treat you according to his stupid stereotype conceptions. You don't need that people in your life." Then negative thoughts, where I wasn't the hero, came to my mind. Who do you think you are? A good ally? What do you do for make the life less hard to your friend? How are you different from Quinn? I am the first person my friend told her she was lesbian, right? That means she trusts me, she feels comfort and not judged for telling me. I'm a fan of TV shows with lead LGBT characters. How can I be homophobe? I ship Bousman, I ship Bill and Eve.
You bitch!
Which not just speaks about how usual are toxic relationships in my life. Also speak volumes about the respect I have for the LGBT community. Besides, I have a lot of friends who are of color, gay and fat. Oh my god! I'm an activist. Look, something that bothers me from people who claims to be an ally is how, when it's not relevant, they mention to have a friend who is gay, like if that made them good persons. Let me put you an example. One day I was looking for someone who taught me how to use a DSLR camera, and a person said, "I have a friend who is pretty good at that. She is lesbian." How being lesbian is relevant for know if she can teach me about cameras? Or a person who was talking to me of how painful it is remember the death of his friend. Quote, I lost a friend that I loved very much one day like this. A gay friend. Usually it's the same people who think because they don't make the life of his friends a hell are great allies. Like if closeness to a LGBT friend was proof of the good people they are. Some people also like to brag how much they support his friend that just came out. And the only evidence they have to show in that is a speak of how much they support his friend. But putting aside the parties and the fun talks, they never ask his friend about his romantic life, about how it's going with his family. It's just an agreement of I support you by not treating you bad intentionally. You can hang out with me, but don't expect I show interest in that important part of who you are. Now, probably there are persons who really want to be helpful and they don't know how. After thought and my experience and talking with my friends, my gay friends, I have insights that maybe can be valuable to you. I'm not speaking in a big scale. This is not about how you can be useful to the LGBT community as a movement. It's about what you can do as a friend to your loved ones who are still struggling with coming out. It's really easy to see other people's mistakes without recognizing the same mistakes in you. Just because came in another shape doesn't mean you are not doing exactly the same that those people which their behavior bothers you. In my bubble, I was believing I'd done enough for the people I care about, until my friend Ruby told me this after asking her what's been happening with his crush. That friend, you are inundate me with Luz. She don't like you anymore or what? Ha 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 ha. I really don't think you are interested on that. Besides, you are so innocent, put me embarrassed to tell you my intimacy.
I mean, I masturbate about you a lot.
You know what she was referring to when say intimacies? It was referring to putting Instagram stories for being noticed by his crush. The fact she called it that way to me made me realize how difficult it is for her talking with his friend about the most normal stuff. In the moment, my ego was hoping that she was referring to a very uncomfortable sexual detail situation. But even if it was something like that, it wouldn't be a reason for Ruby don't telling me. I have that type of conversations with friends all the time. What I do wrong then? I know the next is going to sound from nowhere, but hear me out. I have a point to make. When I introduced Ruby to Killing Eve, I knew she would like it for the way LGBT characters are portrayed. We have interesting conversations about how amazing is that these two women are so attracted to each other so naturally, and his sexuality is never addressed with labels. It's just what it is. In general, sexuality in Killing Eve is so free.
I just fall in love with whoever I fall in love with.
How many men have you been in love with?
Hundreds.
Anyway, that very often lead our conversation to his inner struggle and how she wishes the world was as simple as in the series. She often told me, I feel you support. Are you of the few people who I can talk about this? So if she can speak to me clearly about the struggle, what's the problem then? The problem is exactly the lack of why I describe I like the show. My conversations with her after coming out with me has been mostly about the struggle, the hard part, how important it is to start conversations about the simplest things. I used to believe that speak about love comes so naturally. And yes, it's like it should be. The problem is I didn't saw it from where Ruby is standing. Ruby is still in closet with almost everyone. That means she has inner struggles to deal with. The least I can do is create an environment of normality where we can talk about our broken hearts, or silly experiences, or toxic dynamics in relationships. And I silence that part at the moment of think. If she wants to talk about it, she's going to bring it. I am of the few people who knows, and therefore I am a window who can show her how coming out looks like. Not everything is going to be struggle, and help her coming out can be bullied from just showing interest on who she is putting an eye. It is so absurd how simple it is. I'm not suggesting you should be forcing process conversation. If someone don't tell you even when you ask, it's for some reason. But in my experience, only takes to ask and show genuine interest. Of course, it's not the only thing you should do, but like myself, there are people who don't see how powerful this simplest thing can be. Another experience was when I knew about a cousin. It's a similar situation where he is still in closet, but the difference here is he didn't tell me. I thought, I'm going to wait until he decides to tell me. Then we take separate paths for attend to college and we stop catching up. The only times when we saw each other it was in familiar reunions. 5 years passed and I started to feel guilt for not being support to him, but at the same time I was feeling that it wasn't my call to force him to tell me. If he didn't tell me, it's for a reason, right? When finally spoke with him, I realized once again how blinded and unhelpful I was. He was never going to tell me because we both grew up in a family with very conservative ideas where we have the vivid memory of how frowned upon it was for a child to eat a strawberry. I kissed a boy and all I did. Strawberries on boys are so gay. We didn't catch up for so long. It was obvious that he thought I still had the same harmful and stupid ideas. My support publications to the LGBT community weren't proof of how ally I am. My public love for LGBT TV shows, it wasn't enough for my cousin to saw how I changed. I regret of having speak with him earlier. As a family member, also you can observe if it's opportune or not be the one who start the conversation. It's hard enough to them coming out, so we have to take action sometimes for make it easier. However, my experiences don't apply to everyone, but I think you know what exactly you can do for people you care about. Don't make my mistake. Don't wait so long for show support, for bullied normality. The more I educate myself, more I am aware of every fucked up I done. With social media, I fall in the belief that it's just in me and my little world, where still there is a lot it needs to be done. But the significant actions aren't on the internet. There is a lot that needs to be done for everyone. How people of the LGBT community knows you are an ally, what you are done wrong, and how you think you can do better. Sorry if you don't understand something. This is my terrible English. My only tool for checkup is Google Translator.
Que no se olvida